But cool. So we're here at Kivitippu now, and I have an amazing guest with me. Hey everyone who is watching the Nordic show. My name is Ronnie Eriksson, and I'm the host. And today with me I have Sam Leijonanmieli. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. First of all, thank you for inviting me, Ronnie, here, and it's nice to catch up with you again. So here we are.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful place, and this place brought us together in many ways, which has been awesome. And I learned to know your story, which is pretty cool for those stories that you hear about people. So could you shortly just tell me who you are and what you've been doing during your life?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, I'm a 30 years old mayor leading the city called Vimpeli, located in southern Ostrobothnia province. And before this career, I used to work 10 years in Finnish defense forces, mainly as a Navy officer. And I'm born and raised in Turku, but my family roots are from Alajärvi. So after doing a career in Navy, it's kind of a complex story, but I kind of end up back to my family roots. So I feel it's really cool to be back here in the middle of energetic nature and energetic people. And yeah, that's basically in a nutshell my background.
I think it's pretty cool that you've done your whole career within the military, and military, for those of our listeners who don't know, here in Finland is actually mandatory. So everyone or all the men have to go to the military, and all the women who want to are allowed to do it. And the military is ranging from 6 months to 1 year, depending on what different things you do in the military. And you kind of like, did you stay on that track after you kind of like got ready with your mandatory military?
Yeah, I basically did my mandatory military service in Army Special Forces. So I was an Army paratrooper. I did 1 year service, and then I also like to spend time at sea. So then I started to think about, okay, maybe I should join to the Navy. And as you know the saying, join to the Navy, see the world. So that was maybe also one of my idea that, okay, I will join the Navy and I can sail around and see the world. And then I applied into National Defense University in the Navy line and got in. And then stayed around 9 years in Navy.
Really nice. And I've heard that the Navy soldiers are the toughest ones. It's like true story.
Yeah. As you mentioned, and when it comes to my background, of course, I support your theory.
That's perfect. But then the story goes a bit unconventional there, because after 10 years in military, you get elected to be the mayor of Vimpeli. So
yep.
A place in kind of like the middle of nowhere here in Finland on the countryside. I think like if you look at the profiles of mayors, you don't see many mayors that have been their whole life in the military, or not even in any of kind of like leadership roles, but it kind of like takes a time of adjusting and getting to learn what you do. So what do you think that, or how did you end up in Vimpeli? How did you end up applying as a mayor, and how did you end up selected?
I think one big reason was I always like to, serve people. I was doing that in military, and then actually one person I knew, he got elected as a mayor, and he was pretty young, around his 40s. And then I got this idea that, okay, the stuff what I'm doing in the military, and especially the leading people, leading projects, this kind of stuff. I started to think, okay, maybe this could be something I can do. And then, of course, my family heritage from this area was kind of interesting. So when I heard that they are seeking a mayor to Vimpeli, and at this area, inside this sub-region, I basically spent my every childhood summer. So I had pretty romantic, memories about this area. And then I started to think that, okay, I will apply because, I was thinking they will not elect me to work as a mayor, but why not to apply, and then I applied and I got, they invite me to the interview, and then suddenly, there was the elections and I got elected. So I think the reason why they elected me, I really don't know the details about some individuals, why they decided. But maybe they wanted to have like a more young energy and more new ideas, like out of the box thinking and this kind of stuff. So I think maybe that was something to do with the background of their decision.
I have found it so inspiring to kind of like follow you and on how you take things onward, because I think exactly what you're explaining there, that the kind of like young and new perception that really changes how people act and how people do things. And I think you've been able to lead that with an example. And if I'm not wrong, you were also the youngest mayor ever elected, right, at that point in Finland?
Not ever elected during the history, but at the moment. And now I think at the moment I'm maybe second youngest mayor. So we have even more younger mayors. So that time I just turned 28, so I was pretty young, and now I'm 30, so I'm already getting old slowly.
It's beautiful. For me, when I came here the first time with Peter and kind of like meeting you guys and seeing how open-minded you were for all the ideas and all the change and like what all things we could do, I think that opened up really much my eyes, that kind of like there is this change that we're waiting for or have been waiting for, and now it kind of like we can grasp it already with our fingers. And something you're talking a lot about is the countryside and the potential within the countryside, and I think this is kind of like something you can see in your actions as well really well. So why do you think there is so much potential in the countryside, and why are we undermining it?
I think especially when we talk about Southern Ostrobothnia province, we have a really, I could say, specific this kind of entrepreneurial mindset. And in this area, historically, people has been, I could say, like risk takers. And for example, in Wimpeli, we have around 3,000 people population. But we have 400 registered companies. So that is already telling about something about the mindset that people have. Like, okay, like I can't find a job, so I will create my own company. Or actually my neighbor have a really nice and big house, I want to have the same. So they will create a company, and this is driving people to be like successful. And I think when we came here, of course, we had like a new ideas, and we had like a crazy ideas, and we have done some crazy stuff also when it comes to the marketing and this kind of stuff. But I think actually these people has been waiting something like this, because they naturally have this kind of brave thinking to they're like, okay, this sounds really crazy. It's excellent. Let's try it. So I think people at this area, they have naturally this kind of attitude. And now when we talk about the future of the countryside, people are moving in a bigger cities like Helsinki or Turku or Tampere. And I've been seeing during my life like over 40 different countries. And when we talk about the urbanic areas and the metropolitan cities, they all have the same issues. The property prices are going up, and this is a huge issue that will cause problems for younger generations to buy own apartment or have a quality life. So I think especially because of the COVID-19 and the digitalization that is happening like really rapidly. So I think many young generations start to think like, okay, what I really want from my life. And I think many millennials at the moment, they are thinking if they want to take like a huge mortgage and, you know, band themselves in one place for maybe the rest of their life. So I think now these days you can do remote working, and young generations want to put more effort on their, you know, like a lifestyle. They want to have more experiences rather than own something physical or put their money in the physical properties. So I think this is one thing, but I think another thing is, you know, we have a excellent school system. For example, Vimpeli High School was the #1 high school in the province. It was not Seinäjoki or some bigger cities. It was our small high school. So we can provide like a really high quality education.
Why was it the best?
Yeah, I think one reason is we have small class sizes. The teachers know every student personally. They actually know their parents, most likely their aunties and grandparents, and this is something that is really difficult to form in bigger urbanic areas or bigger school where the class sizes can be like huge.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, when we think about that, we want to attract the #1 international talents from Finland, but also from you know, like international students, international startup companies, international workers. I think the platform, you know, what we have, the structure, it's like perfect. We have like a really high quality education. Our medical care is really flexible because we have a small city, but you don't have to wait in a line like months, like you have to do in the bigger cities. And then also, let's say if you live in Shanghai and even you are earning pretty well, my age people, they can never buy their own apartment. And when you make kids, your first stress is, you know, if you want to put them in a high quality kindergarten, you pay like 2,000 euros per month. And many parents are thinking like, you know, how they can survive, how they can educate their kids. If something happens, who will look after them and this kind of stuff. So we have all of this. So the platform what we have is perfect to attract like the #1 startup companies, the #1 international students, the #1 people all around the world. Because we have one thing what we can provide for them, and it's a social mobility. And this is something that does not exist in you know, in China or in United States or this kind of big countries where you have to pay lots of money for properties, education, maybe energy, and medical care. So this is something that people most likely not only in the southern Ostrobothnia province but in whole Finland, they underestimate this platform that we have created.
I love that so much because, well, that's what I've been working with the past year, is to kind of like build these bridges. But then, in a sense, people always say that you can't buy happiness. But then you can come to Vimpeli and actually buy it for a fraction of the price, which is pretty cool because all of these things that you're explaining, they're kind of like of pieces that people are now looking and trying to find all across the world, and they go like across all the 7 seas here in our world to find those things. And then they are actually like here in our backyard, but just because it's rural, you don't go there. And I think one of my big problems as someone from Helsinki, from the big city of Finland, is that I wouldn't come to Vimpeli because in Vimpeli there is not traction or people. And then kind of like it becomes the problem that when I don't go there, no one else doesn't go there, then kind of like the only thing we need to go there is people.
Yep.
So that's why I also believe a lot in that international talent is the way to start to kind of like create that an attraction and that movement, because for those people, the opportunities and the healthcare and the social mobility, those are things that they could only dream of, and we could actually provide it. And then people within Finland start to move.
Exactly.
You were mentioning there about your and kind of like the region's craziness. Something I want to quickly grasp on because I think there is a lot of good stories within that. But just to start on a bit of a personal side to give the listeners a bit more knowledge about you. So your name is Sam Lion's Mind or Lion Mind, right?
Yep. Maybe a Lion Heart or Lion's Mind.
Lion Mind, yeah. Yep. So Sam Leijonanmieli. And where does that come from? And it's not your original name, right?
Yeah, it's basically, I'm not in any relationship with my father. So I believe that, family name have to tell some story about your, about your family background and about your heritage. So then I just started to think that, okay, like I want that my future family have some story, my future kids have some family name that have some story. So I just decided why not to change it, because I can.
Really cool. And this is kind of like a first good crazy thing that people normally don't do that much. Is that you would go so far that you have always had this thought in your mind and what you could actually do something about it. So why don't? I love that lion's heart. It fits you really well. So
but I think basically many people think they think too much like what other people are thinking, like what if I fail, this kind of stuff. And I think it's limiting many people to, achieve their dreams or do some stuff that really make them happy.
I agree in that. And if we can come up with some solution for that, how to kind of like push people a bit over the barrier, is it through our example or is it through this podcast or whatever we do? I think that's something we're kind of like obliged to do in our lives, because that changes a lot how people work. But I think this kind of like creates a bit of the basis to kind of like the craziness around us and all the different things that we're able to do. And you've been continuously implementing these crazy things also here in the region. Could you name one example of some of the crazy things that you have actually done here to kind of like bring a bit more knowledge to the region, but also showcase what you're all about?
Okay. So we had basically 3 mayors doing this how to say, events. And we had this one idea that, okay, let's march around the Lake Lappajärvi. It's around 80 kilometers long march. And we decided, okay, this is like a symbolic march to unite this sub-region and to showcase that we are doing cooperation and this kind of stuff. And unfortunately, we decided to do this march during the heat record day of the year. So it was 32 degrees hot day, and we basically could not cancel it or postpone it because there was all the media and people were prepared and stuff like that. So we marched around the lake. And it was a terrible weather, and we were all like so tired after doing that. But people were really excited, and we also attract like lots of international media because they realized that okay, there is something really crazy happening now, and 3 mayors marching during the heat record day of the year around the lake, and then we did the similar event during the winter. We actually built the world's largest ice carousel, and on the top of that we ski around the lake. So we attract lots of media because municipalities like Vimpeli, our marketing budget is like super small. So we have to think how to be like a really creative, to get attraction and media time and this kind of stuff to promote, our cities. And these news, they went only in China in 80 different news. And then it went to BBC, Reuters, Bangkok Times, just all around the world. And it's kind of funny because we are talking about many million people, saw this event with a budget of couple €100. So I think
crazy.
we had like a couple of things. First of all, we were thinking we have lots of good stuff. We have beautiful nature. We have really energetic and good people here. We want to showcase that we can do something together, and then show to the whole world, to the whole global society that we are here. We are doing something together and uniting this sub-region.
And I think the key word there is together. So I think that's also what you've succeeded really well.
Teamwork.
Yeah,
Yep.
like how to bring people actually together so that we can collaboratively solve the bigger issues around us. It could be marketing budget, or it could be getting more people to Vimpeli, or not having to close the schools here, or whatever that happens when people actually disappear.
Exactly.
And I think the big difference, if you look at a bit on Helsinki or Turku, where you're from originally, and then you compare it to kind of like these countryside places, is that how people kind of like work together. And even though there is more people in Helsinki, I think the people are so much further away from each other than they are here. And here you have that kind of like sense of community, sense of people belonging into a group or a village or something like that. Do you think that affects a lot like how people behave or stay or work within this region as well? How kind of like they feel a part of the community?
Yeah. I think it's bringing lots of security for people, because there is always someone to help you. They don't ask any money; they just come and help. I had multiple times for example, some issues with my car, so I have this one neighbor who is like a semi-mechanic guy, so I just call him and he come and we fix it together. I'm not really helpful in that, but like showing the light for him when he's doing the job. And also we have built like a huge infrastructure projects by using charity working. So in Finland we use this saying talkootyö, but I think it doesn't have any English translation. But we get some fundings from the EU or by using some other funding instruments, and then the rest of the work, we don't have to pay for anyone. It's just our community working together and building something for our community. Exactly. So I think people value our city. They value what they have built much more than you are living in a urbanic area. That the buildings and the services, they just comes up from somewhere and then you use it, and it's more like faceless.
Yeah, I like that how you bring up the talkoot. So talkoot is kind of like communal work. So something you do together with a group of people, maybe share a couple of beers when doing it. And this is something we are really strong at in Finland, especially in Helsinki. The talkoot spirit, you can see it a bit in kind of like apartment houses, or where people are living close to each other, so they might clean up the yard, for example, together. And I think the talkoot spirit here is a bit easier to manage, exactly for this thing that you're saying, that when you build something together, it's really tangible. So if you do a new, just throw something about a library, for example, it's actually a library built for you and your kids and your family and all of these people. While if they do Helsinki Oodi by the railway station, it's for thousands and thousands and thousands of people who might visit there once a year. And there is a big difference in kind of like what the value is in building that. So I wouldn't say that the Helsinki people will come together and build that library in the same sense. But let's look a bit at the region, because I think this is something really interesting and something we don't talk about enough. So we're here at Kivitippu now, which is a hotel, a kind of like experience center located in one end of Lappajärvi, which is a crater lake formulated 77 million years ago or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. And so a crater hit, a meteorite hit Finland, and then a huge lake was formulated out of that.
Yep.
And now around this lake we have, is it 4 municipalities or more?
5.
5
Yep.
municipalities around the lake, of which Vimpeli is the one in the completely other end that we're right now. And how was it when you started as mayor? Kind of like how much were these municipalities collaborating already, or how is the kind of collaboration between different municipalities in Finland?
Yeah, there was definitely a collaboration, but it was kind of really formal. And what we started to change, especially with this new colleagues I had, we decided, like all municipalities are doing marketing individually. All municipalities did the projects individually. We had some meetings, but we really didn't share much, or we didn't cooperate with the larger projects. So I started to think, okay, in Vimpeli the population is around 3,000 people. So in China, if you go to Shenzhen or bigger cities, every apartment building have the same population. So I started to think, is it really necessary that we do all, like alone? We do every project and stuff like that alone. So we started to do more cooperation, and then we did the march, and we were actually discussing during the march with many stuff, because we were so tired, and it's easy to share directly what you think. So then we just decided, like everything what we do, we share with each other, and we do the projects together and stuff like this. So at the moment we have like such a great cooperation with all of these municipalities, and we are doing many marketing stuff together. We are doing many projects together, and we are always like sharing the ideas that, okay, I have this great idea, could we do this together? Exactly. And it's actually more beneficial for people that we are basically saving taxpayers' money, first of all, and then the results are highly more better when we do some team working.
Exactly. And to go a bit further in this, so this region is also really interesting in my opinion, because if you go to each of the municipalities separately, you find one cool thing or two cool things.
Yep.
But if you combine actually these 5 municipalities, you actually have everything you would ever imagine to see about Finland. So we have a ski center there.
Yep. Luckies. Yep.
Yeah, and then we have the awesome lake. We have a golf center. We have different kind of like event spaces. We have baseball teams, or pesäpallo, which is the Finnish version of that. Basketball teams.
Yep.
Like almost anything you'd ever imagine to see in Finland. Everything around one lake.
Yep.
So my question would be then that, why do we have so many separate municipalities, and why isn't it all one like city, for example, like Crater Nation, as we've been talking about earlier?
Yeah, I think first of all, why we have municipalities or why we have states, I think it's something to do with humans actually have this ability to use imagination. And the other animals, the big difference between humans and other animals is actually the reason that humans have ability to create or think something that does not exist. So because of this, I think historically some people identify themselves as Vimpeli people or Lappajärvi people, and they have these communities, and then like a larger scale we talk about states. So in the end, I think in the end, for example, Vimpeli have like long heritage of building up this community. Then Alajärvi have this own community, and then they organize themselves and make own city parliament and governments, and these communities want to decide, what is the direction of the community. So if we talk about should we have more or less municipalities in Finland, at the moment we have, if I remember right, 308 municipalities, and we always have this discussion that should we have less. Yeah, maybe it's possible to have less municipalities, but I think it's the same like should we have less countries? Why we don't join with Russia? It would be more easy. Or why we don't create one country with Sweden? That would be cool. But people don't want it because they have own identity. I think this is actually a really important thing, especially when we talk about the countryside areas. Like people in Vimpeli, they have really strong identity of being Vimpeli people, and they think that Vimpeli people should make decisions how to develop this community. So I think this is one of the key elements of why we still have 308 municipalities in Finland. But when we talk about is it better to have less or more municipalities, it's difficult to say. Maybe we can be more efficient if we have less. Mm-hmm. But how about the community and people who identify themselves as Vimpeli people? How about if Alajärvi or Seinäjoki or Lapua are making the decisions how they're developing specifically our area? There is this kind of talking.
And I think like wherever in the world you go, we'll start from looking at the world as a world and then go to the countries or even the continents and then countries and then from countries to cities and so on. And where we end up is to what we have in Helsinki right now. So now you're not anymore from Helsinki, but you're actually from Kallio. So a small sub-region within Helsinki. And then everyone knows that, okay, you're probably this young hippie kind of person who lives there and likes to party and listen to techno. And then it's like, but kind of like, in a sense, you chose to live there maybe because of that, because you want to identify within that scene. So I think this kind of like thing of identity, I think there will always be communities, and within communities there will always be sub-communities and so on. So I think it was a really good answer. But then I think the harder thing, and the thing that I think you have a pretty good vision at, is that how do we figure out these identities? Which identity suits us, and where do we belong? From your opinion, and you being working a lot in like the hierarchical army, for example. So how do you figure out who you are and in which community you actually belong?
I think every people are, at some point of their life, they are seeking their identity or their roots or their talents or who am I? I think it's a pretty tough question, but I think one thing that actually there's lots of like external pressure for every people, especially for young people, and then I think the systems and the organizations that we created are actually measuring you a lot and trying to put to fit you inside the society. But I think one of the key thing is that I believe every people have some really cool talent. And when we talk about school system, for example, when it comes to my own experience, when I was in primary school, I was actually a pretty bad student. I basically didn't manage very well in the school. But no one didn't tell me during that time that I'm pretty good in leading. So when I was in a kindergarten, I was leading the playing. When I was in a primary school, if we play soccer or stuff like that, I was leading the soccer game. That was like something natural for me, and I was pretty good in that. But then I sucked in mathematics, so that was measuring me as a person. So I think every person or every once you're born here, you have some great talent and great meaning, why exactly you born here. And this society is measuring people, when we talk about success, who is like a successful person. If you are a successful businessman, but you are a really bad father or you are not a good friend, have you been successful in your life? We are measuring, and this like a social media and movies are trying to tell you what you have to do when you are successful. I think some person's talent can be that he's really kind, or he's a good parent, or he's a really trustworthy friend. I think even he's not super rich, maybe he has been successful in his life. Or maybe some kids they have ADHD, and people telling them to sit down and listen carefully. But this kind of kid might have, they might be like they like adrenaline, and they're actually pretty brave. So when we go into the case that this guy is actually working as a firefighter, he's perhaps the only kid from the class who have enough bravery to go into the building that is on fire and save some people's lives. But we have lots of these kind of measurement systems that are not measuring your real talent, or where you belong, or when you are successful. So I think this is actually a pretty interesting topic to talk, because I think what we can do in municipalities is to tailor-made our education system. So for example, in Vimpeli, we encourage kids to find their talents. For example, some kids can be super brave. Maybe some kids are good in mathematics. They can work for NASA for the future. But if you are like a super brave, you can be someone who, maybe you're a pilot and your second engine is on fire. So you need a certain kind of people to handle the pressure and land the airplane safely.
Exactly.
But I think municipalities should take more responsibility on providing different kind of feedback for kids. They all don't have to fit in the same model. And the reason is we have different kind of personalities and different kind of talents, and they have maybe different reason why they're born here.
Exactly. I can just relate so much with you, because what you're saying is in a sense that we should measure more happiness and what makes people because success is not only the monetary success that we've been looking at it before, but it's happiness comes from what actually fulfills us and our days. And when we do those things that make us happy, we'll do them great. And all the different roles within our society are extremely needed. So we had a small cut there of my battery ran out, but it's fixed now. And we were talking here with Sam about a really interesting problem or issue that we are facing, especially here in Finland, but probably all across the world. So the problem that kids, they're trying to kind of be fit into different kind of boxes with maybe doesn't fit their talent or their kind of pursuits in life. And because there are these normal kind of positions that you should study and become a doctor or do economics or be a lawyer. But then there is a lot of other things, a lot of other capabilities such as leadership or having the guts to actually be a fireman that you need in the working life. And I think what Sam was saying there was an amazing kind of perspective on it, and also how the municipalities here in Finland have the possibility to change it and how we look at it. So I would maybe like to, I always like in these podcast episodes to kind of propose something or bring something up. So I think this is something that you already with Vimpeli started a bit to do. But what do you think we could actually do to improve and allow the kids to kind of get whatever or find whatever mold they want to do things in life?
I think first of all, what we have done in Vimpeli, as I mentioned, we are measuring the kids by using a different kind of like measuring system. So we are basically trying to find their talents. If they are like they like arts, or they are good in painting, or if they are brave, or if they are kind, this kind of stuff. And then we have to tell for the kids that okay, you are not necessarily learning mathematics. Just try to learn the basics, but this is a great thing. You are really kind, and you have actually a great, amazing communicational skills. So when the kids are hearing this kind of people encouraging them, I think this is really significant thing for the rest of their lives. And then another thing, we have this young politician system in Vimpeli, and we actually just got this kind of youth-friendly municipality certificate, because we have young people taking a place in politics, in city government, parliament, and basically in every organization. So they can join with the adult people to develop our city. And some people think, okay, it's good that we get these young people to learn, but from my experience, one good example is the COVID-19 situation, and then we have to go through really fast digitalization, and now the municipalities are basically changing their platforms. We are digitalizing everything, the marketing, the way how we contact people, how we communicate and stuff like this. So actually these young people, they are not just learning, but they're teaching, the older people, how to contact, what is the best way to contact, the young generations.
Exactly.
So I can't imagine the situation that there is some 10 years old guy who's sending an email for the mayor. That's like a pathetic idea because it's so super old style. But they're sending me a message in Instagram or Twitter or this kind of stuff, and it doesn't make any difference. It's just a digital format, and you send a message and you transfer some information. So I think one important thing to encourage young kids, and also to be like a youth-friendly municipality, is to understand, how the millennials and younger generations are communicating, how we can reach them, how they can impact. And now we are building our city strategy, the mission, visions, and then strategy how to get to our visions. So actually these youth politicians, they are building the whole sector of youth strategy of our city. Because I say that how the elder generations can tell for the young generations what they need.
Exactly.
So we place them, in a position that they can actually, build up one sector of the city strategy. They have opportunities to, tell about their needs, tell about, how we should develop this city. If someone is a great painter, maybe they want to do some kind of art exhibitions or stuff like this. So we provide them a platform to, tell what they think and, how we should transfer our community. Not like how, like if we say this is our community and you have to fit in this community. So we want to do it like completely, put the whole idea upside down.
Yeah.
So they are telling us, you know, how they view our city, how they view the development of our city.
I like that a lot. If you think about it, it's kind of like the older generation is trying to guide the younger generation towards things that they know or have experienced, but they don't know what is actually happening on the ground anymore or what opportunities there are. And what was right even a year ago is not probably right anymore today, which is like crazy in how fast our world is evolving. I think that's amazing how you're doing it, and it's kind of like when you put the young people in charge, they get to be a part of the decision making. They get to learn, and when they become old and grumpy as we, then they have the possibility to actually understand how everything works and not start learning at that point. Because then it's slow again in 10 years for you to just understand how the whole municipality works. I think that's great. And I think there are many things that we could also further elaborate on that, because I think what works in Vimpeli will also work in most of the other municipalities across the nation. So again, it comes to how can we implement and try something separately, but then bring the best practices together. Really nice. And you were talking a bit about the social media and that world, and I think it's really important to be where the young people are. And I think you've been pretty successful in that. So for our listeners, before we tell them how to find you, what has resulted in you kind of like having such a good impression and following in the different social medias?
I think, you know, of course the kids they are curious about, you know, following the platforms that they are using. So basically, if I'm updating everything to our municipality's website, you know, no one go to see it. It's such a who's going to the municipality's website. So I started to do I started to add lots of content in, for example, in Instagram, and also I have been using Twitter and this kind of stuff. So actually, this younger generations started to find that like pretty interesting. Oh, like this is a young mayor. I can follow you know, what's happening, what he's doing, and that's maybe one way to get the young generations to get interested in about, you know, the municipality politics, because otherwise it's just like, you know, for them maybe old style looking stuff and boring and these kind of things. But by using these platforms as they are using, you know, as a digi-native generation, we can really impact, we can really communicate with them and stuff like that. So I think this is the maybe most important takeaway from this idea.
Yeah, so doing something ordinary, but doing it in a new way or in a new platform, and that's all it takes. Because, and I think that's the same problem with many things that you think about, like the Finnish ministry developed this Africa strategy, and it's a really beautiful strategy and it's well done, but you find it in these really bureaucratic long pages of text written in the Finnish ministry's papers. And I can assure you, no young people will read that, even though there is many pages about and just focusing on the young people. But it's about how can you turn that content into easily graspable, real like-minded ways. And for me, I think the big revelation was when we were sitting there at the meeting, and then you as a mayor come in, someone people still tend to look up to in a way, but you come in with your kind of phone in your hand, filming a story or something like that, and it's like, well, this dude is really on our level in a sense, which is it's beautiful. So to round things up here in the end, what do you expect from the future of Vimpeli?
I think Vimpeli have a bright future. That's for sure. We have lots of entrepreneurs, and as I mentioned, we have been able to create an outstanding platform for young talents, new students, and this kind of stuff. Now we just have to take action and do some branding and tell a story, it's important because we have lots of cool stuff, but if people don't know about us, it's pretty hard to just, get the idea that I want to move in Vimpeli or I want to study in Vimpeli. So this is what we are going to focus at future. And I think when we get these new talents, new ideas, international students, new startup companies and stuff like that, they have excellent platform. We have like so much steel, aluminum, plastic, whatever related knowledge already. So it's pretty easy that you make some innovation and you already have like multiple factories that can start to actually product your innovation. And I see Vimpeli and the whole sub-region have a really bright future.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see what is going to happen here. And I think
most likely even you will move eventually to Vimpeli.
We'll see about that, but I started to like this area a lot. So like for me also, like coming from someone from Helsinki, you come here and like this is like, we call it like land or like the countryside.
Yep.
And then, but when you start to actually spend a bit of time here and see the people and all of that, like everyone is pretty much the same that you are.
Yep.
They just have a bit more nature and like freedom around them, which is like even more positive when you think about it. But the same services work here and the same schools are here and the same internet you use in your everyday life is here. So it might be actually an option I'm thinking about. And what I think for Vimpeli and like all the things that you've said, I think like it culminates really well that we have all that we need here. And a bit more. And now it's time to kind of like allow those maybe who don't have that more and need that more to come here and create the gravity, and then it will happen pretty much by itself. So if people want to follow your journey, which has just started, so how can they follow you or find you online?
Yeah, basically from Twitter or Instagram, just Sam Leijonanmieli, and feel free to follow what we are doing here. And I think there is more cool stuff and crazy stuff also coming, and some interesting projects and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll be sure collaborating in some way with you and Vimpeli in the near future. So whatever you have to share, we try to share as well. So
great.
Our channels will be a place for that as well. I want to thank you, Sam, so much. And here in the end, do you have something you would like to bring up, something you would like to ask, or anything on your mind you would like to share?
Yeah, I think we had a pretty comprehensive conversation. I think that overall we had pretty good topics to share, and this as your friend Peter is saying, this is all about doing the stuff. Just have to have to understand and realize what good stuff we have and what we can do and where we are going. And I believe in young generations, so I think we have a really bright future in Finland at overall and also in Vimpeli. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sam, and thank you for leading Finland and the world with an example like that. Anything is possible, and you just need to set your mind into it. And well, now we are still young enough also so that we can actually be role models for the young people, which I think is also really important to remember from time to time, that there is a lot of these 50, 60-year-old guys and girls who love to tell that young people are the future, but they're really far away from them. And I think our strength is that we're still pretty close.
Good.
Cool.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you so much.